for you guys, right? So recording has started. Okay, fine. It's clear here. I can see it. Fine. Okay. So let me give the broader sense of the industrial engineering, and like at least I have to speak something about what exactly is industrial engineering and what you're going to do. What are you going to gain from this industrial engineering? Gain is like, for now you think this thing as of for getting a score in getting a good score in GATE. So after that, how what is the importance of the industrial engineering? We can discuss a little later. So okay, fine. So for the basic production, like in the last demo, also I've given the definition of manufacturing. But anyways, manufacturing and production are the words which are used interchangeably. So let me give the definition of production here. So you can see the production. It is the step-by-step value addition process of converting one form of material into another form to increase the utility of product for the user. So obviously you can see you have the raw material. You have some raw material. So after having raw material, you convert, you process them, you do whatever it is, and then you convert into finished goods. So how do you do that? You do by using this manufacturing process, and that's called production. Okay. So you can say that, like, if you have some input can be anything, like input can be man, material, anything. So once you have some input and you have some conversion process, right? You have some conversion process, like machining, welding, all these things will be taught in manufacturing engineering, and materials also, because you have to convert raw material into some material which can be used at the other end, and then you get some output. So that is what is the basic definition of production. So there is another definition of thing called production system. It is an organized process of converting raw material into final product with a feedback loop. Same thing, but this is a overall view of production. Here it is the production system. Here they are talking about a manufacturing plant or manufacturing company. If the production system is comprised, it's called a manufacturing company. So it's an organized process of converting raw material into final product. Okay, let us take this input only. So if we have this input here, let's say same thing, input. So what are the things? What can you say? So let me say some inputs. I think I can expect some of the inputs from you guys. So let me say the first input is some manpower. So of course you have to have some manpower, and then second input might be some materials. So you have to have some materials as an input, materials, and then you should have machine. Of course you have to have some machine to use to convert this raw material into the finished products. And any other things you can speak out. I'm not going to see the chat box until unless if when I am looking at the chat box. Please use your audio so that I can hear them. Any other inputs that you can think of? Hello.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, any other inputs that you can think of?
We can say money.
Of course, very good. Of course, money is important because, of course, manpower, materials, machine, everything is including money. That's a background which is running here. Anyways, any other things?
Capital.
Capital. That's also as a money kind of thing you can say. So let me say energy. Energy is fine. So you need to have some energy to run this machine, and of course, whatever that money you are saying, I'm just gonna write here because it's useful. And okay, fine. I can say some information. Information is in the sense some knowledge and etc. So having this input, what you can do is that you can send this input into some conversion process. Conversion process is the manufacturing process that we are going to discuss: the casting, forming, welding, and so on, so on, so on, etc. Right? After that, you're going to have some output. So the output means it contains what? Some goods which can be used, or it can be some service also, some services also. Okay, so so when you do this input and output, you are using some conversion process. So are you going to use these goods right away? No. What you're going to do is that you do this inspection. You do this inspection, it's called comparison. You compare what you have designed. Of course, you will design before. So you design it, then you get the good. So what you do, you check with this design with the good. Okay, this is what I've designed, or this is what I've produced. So you compare this. After comparison of actual was designed, you can say. So once you can compare this, so after comparison, oh, excuse me, I have one problem here. Can you give me 1 minute so that I'll come back? Hello. Okay, fine. So I'm back. Please be with me. So you have this conversion of actual was desired. This was actually actual, and this is desired. So you compare them, then you give a feedback, called a feedback. So this is what is feedback loop. You can see the loop here. Loop. So people have somebody has posted in chat box saying that it's a feedback loop. So this is a feedback loop. You compare them, you see if there is any problem, then you report it to the input. Again, with the input, with the correction, you go to the conversion process. Again, you get the output. Again, you do the same thing again and again until unless you're getting the proper output. Okay? Is there any doubt? Okay, fine. So Naveen has raised out. It's clear. Fine. So let me go. So proceeding, if somebody wants to write this thing is okay, or if I can provide these slides also. But anyways, please, if you have some important points to be noted, then please note down. Anyways, okay. So people can see in the company. If you go to a company, then people say, "Sir, I'm working as a production manager," and somebody say that I'm working as an industrial engineering engineer there. So sorry, this is industrial engineer. It's not engineering. This is engineering. So what is the difference between an industrial engineering and a production manager? So industrial engineering basically is concerned with design, installation, and improvement of production system. So we have seen the definition of production system here. So it's converting this to manufacturing plant, right? So he or she will always talk about improvement. So what should I do to improve my production system? What should I do? What should I do, or what design I have to make so that to make my production system better? Design of production system, not design of materials. Okay, design of production system. So which machine should be put where? Which person should I allot to which machine? which item should I allocate to which machine so that the productivity will be good. So installation. So when should I do the installation? Should I do now, tomorrow, day after tomorrow? So all these things will be taken care of by this industrial engineer. So what is the objective of him? So it's to eliminate unproductive operations from the production system in order to increase the productivity. Of course. So let's say if you have some three machines. Let us assume you have three machine. Machine one, machine two, and machine three. Let's say if you have three machines. So let us say you have 100, not 100, 10 different items to be produced, 10 different products. So now this industrial engineering engineer, what he or she has to do is that, okay, there are 10 products, different products, so, and there are three machines that are running, and there are some person standing, I mean, working on this machines. So now what happens? This industrial engineer, what he'll do that, okay, he will make sure that, like, okay, this out of this 10, okay, product A, product B, and product E, I think these three products should be produced on these machines. But he won't say on which machine, but he will say ABE are priority to the company now, so that you just produce this three. So what industrial engineer will do that, he will make the priority, he will make the improvement. Like, okay, if there is no, let us say, if, there is a product D, so let's assume that, like, the D is having some design issues, so he won't make that initially. Then he'll make it little later, so that he'll be doing the optimization. It's called optimization. Okay, so after if you're joining in a company, if you join as an industrial engineer, so basically what you will do is that you will overall see the production system and look into the system and say that, like, okay, this is what I have to do so that the production system is improving its productivity. That is the main idea, or that is the main key goal, or main the job of your industrial engineer. And coming to production manager, what he'll do is that he's concerned with planning. Planning in the sense, okay, so if there is a part or product to be manufactured, let us assume example we can take as bolt, a bolt. So planning. So what he has to do, bolt can't be made in a single machine, right? Can't be made in a single machine. In a single machine. So if you don't have a single machine, so what you have to do, you have to make, let us say you have to use these three machines, like machine one, machine two, and machine three, right? So now what happens? So he should decide, okay, let us say machine one is turning machine. So if you are unaware of this turning machine, please bear with me when we are going into the manufacturing part. I'll let you know. So this is a turning machine, and let's say this is let's assume this is a milling machine, and let's say this is a drilling machine. So now let's say you have some raw material here. It's kind of like this raw material. Now what this production manager will do that, he will assign this raw material to machine 2, let us say first. So first they will use machine 2, then they'll use machine 1, then they have to go to machine 3, like that. So he is routing it, is planning it, right? So day to day work. So he is concerned of day to day work. So how many bolts that he has to produce, how many he has produced already, where is the raw material. So he has to keep track of all the things. He has to keep track of persons also. Who is skilled labor, who is semi-skilled, who is unskilled. So the semi-skilled will be given a different job. A skilled person will be given a different job. A skilled person will be given a job which is very sensitive in nature. an unskilled guy will be given with a job which is not very useful, so that like he is the guy who will decide who to give what. And the object here is to produce goods and services. Obviously, it's produce some goods of right quality and quantity. How many quantity of bolt and nuts he's producing, and quality also. Because if a skilled guy is producing this bolt, he'll be producing accurately. A semi-skilled, then less accurate. Unskilled, more or less accurate. So based on that, I think if importance of the bolt and nut, he'll be giving this and he'll assign this to a person or a machine. And after that, what he'll do, he has to maintain the time also, right? So if at all each bolt is taking 1 minute, and let's say if this machine is if this after running these machines, there's a problem here and it is taking like 30 seconds etc like extra here. Now what will happen, it will impact on all the bolts, so he has to maintain the machine also. So this is what the difference between the industrial engineering and production manager. Hope you understood this. This is the basic thing that I have told. There are so many other responsibilities that an industrial engineering engineer or a production manager has to take. So if you join a production plant, you'll be able to understand more compared to what I've said today. So if you have any doubts, I think I'll be looking into the chat box, or you can use the what do you say, the audio also. Anyone, you have any doubts till now? Hello? No doubt, no doubt. Okay, fine. Fine, fine, fine. Okay, let me move on. So the first topic that we are going to discuss is the inventory control in the industrial engineering part today. So if you go to the first topic for our industrial engineering, and for topic for today also is your inventory control. So can anyone in audio, I don't want to use the chat box, can anyone say what is inventory? I'm just removing the slide so that you just don't want to read the slide. So can anyone say what is inventory? Inventory. Hello?
Sir, inventory is a stock of different materials which
Okay.
will be used for finally manufacturing or assembling a component.
Okay, fine. Who is this speaking?
Abhishek.
Okay, fine. Abhishek is speaking. Good. Okay, fine. Any other things? Any other person who can let me know what is inventory, or what do you mean by the inventory in a basic sense or in a layman sense that you can know of?
Sir, it is the storage that is there in that facility.
Yes, excellent. It's a storage facility. You are right. Excellent. Anyone? Anyone else? Anyone else who can say any other different that you have in your mind? Different definition or different idea? Okay, fine. I got the answers. It's pretty much storage, or the stock in hand actually. So we can see here inventory can be termed as stock on hand. Stock on hand at a given point of time, which will have purpose for later sale. So I don't know how many understood this thing by me reading this sentence on the slide here. But what exactly, if you want me to explain this clearly, so what I can do is that, okay, let me assume a simple example here. So that is like, if you have a let's say we'll take an example of okay, soap. This is a very silly example, but let me take a soap. So generally what we'll do in your home, we go to the grocery shop or we go to the supermarket, we will never buy a single soap. What you do is that you buy some soaps, like you buy half a dozen or a dozen soaps, so that you can use it later. But let's say if you're buying a dozen soaps, so are you going to use this 12 soaps that day itself? No. So you take one out of it and you use it, and rest 11 you store them, right? This store is called your inventory. So this is called stock on hand. Stock on hand, this 11 or 11 soaps that you have are stock on hand at a given point of time, because this is, let us say today is your 16th July of 2020. So today how much is stock on hand? You have 11. Let's say if you go back and see on 20th of not 20th, 30th of July, if you go and see your, let's say this 11 has completed, like you have used some 4 or 5 soaps, let's say you have used some 6 soaps, so your stock on hand will be 6, sorry, one will be in use, so your stock on hand will be 5. This is your inventory. This is your inventory. So at any given point of time, what is there in store is called your inventory. This is never used at right away moment, but you keep it, this stock on hand, so that you can use it for later use or sale. You can sell them also. Here soap is the example of your own home. Let's say if you are running a mobile shop, let us assume that you are running a mobile shop. So you have some, like you bought some 1,000 mobiles of some model, and then you have sold some 50 today, and rest 950 are stock on hand, right? 50 is the demand today, and 950 will be stock on hand. So you can, so that you can use it and sell it later, right? So that is what is called the inventory. I think I made pretty much clear about this definition of inventory. So inventory, again I'm saying inventory can be termed as stock on hand at a given point of time, which will have purpose for later use or sale. Okay. So why we are going to read this? So how many you are going to buy? So this half a dozen you bought it, just you know it by intuition, you know that, like if I use one soap for 10 days, so I'll go to grocery for 2 months once, so like 10 days, like 6 soaps are sufficient for me, like that you do calculation in your mind, and then you go and buy the appropriate amount of soaps and come back. But no, this mobile shop services, or maybe if you're going to a big factory layout, it's not easy that how much inventory that you have to keep in your workshop, so that you'll be using that in later stages, right? So you don't know that. That is the reason why you read it, and also it is having an economic value. Why? So it includes raw material. So you can buy extra raw material and keep it in your garage or even in your warehouse. It can be containing this work in progress inventory and semi-finished or finished goods. So all these things will be coming under this inventory. I mean, raw material, semi-finished means like it is half finished, half assembly. If it is halfly assembled, and final product. Work in progress means which are on machines now. So let us say you have some machines, and on machines also you can say them it is an inventory, because you're not using at the end. You're keeping there, and it's in progress. So these all things will come under your inventory, and it is having some economic value. So now you know the term of inventory. So you have to know how to control it. How many you have to buy, or how many you have to keep. How many you have to buy, or how many you have to keep is your question mark. So how do you control it? So here is the definition. So if you say that, like inventory control means making the desired item of required quality and required quantity available to various departments when needed. So how many is the question mark? How many are the products? How many are the goods are you going to buy or keep, so that you can use it in the later stages, or you can sell it in the later stages. So how to control is your question mark, right? So that is what is your inventory control. So that is what your heading also. Items are you going to keep? That is your question. Okay, fine. That is what you have to control. So moving to next slide. So there are some costs that are involved with inventory. So this inventory cost, let me write this inventory cost is basically having four different sub costs. Those are, you can say, purchase cost, purchase cost. So obviously, when you're when you're going and buying this groceries in your home, let us say we always maintain this soap examples that you want to use or mobile example that you want to sell, because you keep inventory either for use or sell. You'll use them or you'll sell them. That's it. So obviously, for using or selling, you have to buy them. So first, under inventory cost, you have purchase cost. So the purchase cost can be denoted by this PC. It's called purchase cost. I can say purchase cost is equal to number of units purchased into cost per unit. Okay. So let's say if you're buying like 100 soaps. So 100 soaps. I don't want to write here. I'll write it here. Let's say if you're buying example. So if you're buying some 100 soaps, number of units are 100 soaps into, let's say each soap is containing cost of like 30 rupees per unit. So the total purchase cost will be 3000. Okay. So this is your purchase cost. So the second cost that you can have here is your ordering cost. So what do you mean by ordering? And sometimes it's also called as setup cost. Setup cost. Setup cost. So this ordering or setup cost, I write ordering cost as OC and setup cost as ST cost. STC. Sorry. Okay. Fine. So I don't want to write. Okay, I can say here the ordering cost is what, but what do you mean by this ordering cost? Anyone? Hello? Sir, if you want, see, I'm not using this, this chat box, because if I'm using this chat box, I'm not able to share my screen clearly here. So, so please speak out. If you have any doubts, please speak out. Anyone?
So whatever cost is whatever
Yeah.
cost is incurred while manufacturing or producing the
Ah,
particular part.
fine, fine. So good. That is called your setup cost when you're setting up your machinery. So ordering means, let's say, what is order? So you're ordering something. Let's say if you're having some Amazon, Flipkart, Myntra, whatever it is. Let's say you're using Amazon. It's a big giant, right? So now what? Let's say you're ordering 50 soaps, or you're ordering 100 soaps, or you're ordering 150 soaps. It doesn't matter how many quantity that you're ordering. It only matters how many orders you're putting. Let's say if you're putting two orders, then he will be charging 50 rupees per order, right? Or let's say you want 200 soaps. You want to order 200. Instead of ordering 200 soaps, what you did by mistakenly, you have ordered 100 soaps. So so for delivering that 100 soaps, what he add is your ordering cost. That is your 50 rupees per order. Again, you have ordered some another 100. Again, you have to have pay 50 rupees. Or else, if you didn't make any mistake, you ordered right quantity, right time, plus 50 rupees. So it doesn't depend upon the quantity that you're ordering. It will depend upon the number of orders that you have put or number of orders that you have placed. Now, as you have this Prime membership, so don't say that like, sir, I have Prime membership, I don't have any ordering, I don't have any delivery charges, so I don't have any ordering cost. Simply, you can put these things called the ordering cost can be called as the delivery cost that they can say, because the person has to come and deliver at your doorstep. In similar cases, the company guys also, they want to order some machine, or they want to order some equipment, or they want to order some item. So what they do, that they place an order, and it will take some time for them to ship from there to here. So they use some transportation, they use some other means, or they have some paper processing, and all the things will be coming under this ordering cost. Simply to make you understand, it's a delivery cost. You can know, can keep off this as ordering cost. Simply, delivery cost can be called as this ordering cost. So think about it. Now you're ordering 100 soaps also, doesn't matter. Even though you're ordering 1000 soaps also, doesn't matter. He will just give that and go. He will just come and give it to you. Just he is coming and he is giving to you. That is the reason why you are paying an extra 50 rupees to the service guy. That's it. So here you can say that ordering cost is equal to number of orders into cost per order. Not quantity, cost per order. Number of orders into cost per order. Okay. So another cost that you can think of is holding cost. Holding cost, or something. Sometimes it's also called as carrying cost. Carrying cost. It's also called as carrying cost. It's called CC. Both are same. HC or CC. Both are same. Holding cost or carrying cost. So what is this holding cost or carrying cost? So let me say, if I told you that, like, let's say you bought some 100 soaps, 100 soaps. So you are using only one soap now, which is in use, and rest 99 you're putting it in your storeroom. So let us assume these are not soaps. Let us assume these are mobiles. These are some mobiles. So now I can say that, like, I have sold some 10 mobiles today, and 90 mobiles are still in store. Okay. So holding. So it means that this 90 you're putting in store, and you are holding or carrying. Holding for tomorrow, or carrying it for tomorrow or day after tomorrow, whatever it is. So as you have that 90 mobiles in your home or store, you're holding them and carrying them. So you have to have some special room or special place where you have to store these items. So if you have some special room, means it is costing something to you, because you have made that room or you have made that place. Or let's say you have put it in some place, and you had some security hide. So you have to pay to that security guy to make sure that there is no theft, or there is no robbery that is going to happen. Because if you're not what you say caring about these things, what will happen? There might be some robbery happening. So you might lose this 90 mobiles. So next day you'll be having zero. So to maintain these items which are there in inventory, there is some cost incurred. So again I repeat, to maintain this 90 items, there is some cost incurred to you. That is called your holding or carrying cost. Okay, so I will write this CC and this thing in the next slides. Don't worry about it, because it doesn't depend on number of quantity. It will depend upon number of quantity, and also it will depend upon time also. I'll tell you why. Anyways, So the other one is, the last one is shortage or stock out cost. Shortage or stock out cost. So I can call this as SC. So what is the shortage or stock out cost? Anyone? Hello? Please,
Production loss.
Yeah. Hello?
So production loss. Production loss.
Huh?
Production loss.
Production loss.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any other people who are here? I think anyone can answer this. Shortage cost or stock out cost. Anyone? Anyone? Hello? Please, I need some responses because I feel like I'm explaining to some robot. Please give some responses to me.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, yeah.
Sir, is it like shortage cost? Maybe it's like the one when there is some like when there are like emergency orders or those kind of orders where you have to
Yeah.
suddenly
Yeah, okay, fine.
ship
You're right.
everything.
You're half right. I mean, you're like nearby the answer.
Okay,
So
sir.
yeah, you're right. So the thing is, let's say we will take a example of mobile itself. Now, you had 100 mobiles, and you expected that I can sell these mobiles for 5 days, and you bought this 100 mobiles and kept it in your shop. Now, I don't know. Maybe you know what you say, that word of mouth has passed, and people say that like, oh, this mobile is excellent and it's working properly and it's very cheap. You have all the features in it and it's mind blowing and all. So now what happens? The first day itself, all the mobiles have been sold out, and rest 4 days, what happens? He doesn't have any mobiles. He doesn't have, or he or she, the person who is running the shop, doesn't have the mobiles to sell. But people are very eager to buy this mobile. So what they come to the shop and they say that like, can you give me so and so model mobile? But the as the customer is coming, the service provider, the service guy, or the owner says, I'm sorry, sir, or I'm sorry, ma'am. So what I'll do, you please wait for 2 more days or 3 more days so that I'll be getting my stock in. So I'll buy the respective mobile. I'll give you the mobile. But will the customer wait for next 3 days? Is a question mark. Somebody might wait, somebody might not wait. What? Because it's a competitive world. What they'll do is that they go to another shop. Let's say you want to buy a mobile and you went to some Reliance Digital. So you found out this Reliance Digital is not having the model that you wanted to have. So what you do? Immediately you go to another shop, right? You go to some other digital, showroom there, and you buy it. So what happened to the Reliance guy? As he was unable to provide the item right away, one thing, he lost the profit that he has to get, because let's say if he's selling one mobile, he's getting a profit of, let us say, some 4,000 rupees, let's say. So he lost this profit loss. He lost that profit. Even the mobile is is around some 25,000 that you're paying. But if the showroom guy is getting 4,000 per mobile, it might not be 4,000, but I'm saying, so he's losing this profit because you are unable to give that item on that day. If he or she is coming back, then it's okay. If they are not coming back, then you're at loss. And second is, you are losing the goodwill. Now what happens? There will be a viral, word saying that, "Hey, please don't go to this Reliance and all because it's useless." Only for one problem that you have encountered, what you'll have is that, no, 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 you don't go to that shop, and Reliance Digital is bakwas. You don't go there because I went recently for buying this so and so model mobile. They were unable to provide. So you go to some other shop that you have bought in. Because of this loss of goodwill also, the Reliance Digital or whatever the shop that you initially went, losing their customers. So it's a very big problem. So that's what. So those things will be incorporated in this shortage or stock out, because this stock out means if you are unable to give the customer whatever he or she is needed, is your stock out. So let's say if there are four, how many stock outs? Let's say there are some 10 customers have come, so 10 goods will be your stock outs. So that is your shortage or stock out cost. So any doubts in this purchase, ordering, holding, shortage? There is important
Hello?
duty part. Yeah, hello. Yeah.
Sir, shortage cost is basically an opportunity cost, right? So basically, you're losing that opportunity, that's why you're losing your
Yes, you are using the opportunity to sell it. You're using the opportunity, so you're losing your profit.
Okay, sir.
Because the items are stock out. There is shortage of that item.
Okay, sir.
Okay, fine. So I see. Let me wait in the chat box. I think everybody is happy with all these units. So don't worry. This units of shortage and carrying will be coming up next slides. And sir, is import duty part of ordering cost only, because you're importing it, so it's in duty cost also will go under this ordering cost. You're right. So let me have this thing in detail. So again, I have written this here. Or this is one, 2, 3, and 4. All these things I'll be discussing clearly in each different slide. Okay, fine. So this is your purchase cost. It is the cost for purchasing inventory item, and it depends on quantity or the bulk purchased. Obviously, how many, I told you what is the purchase cost. I can write purchase cost as PC. So I can write PC as I've already written it, number of units into cost per unit. So it will depend upon upon quantity or the bulk purchased. Let's say if you're buying bulk, means like kgs, let's say like 1000 kg, 2000 kg, 1 ton, 2 ton, something like that. So liters also. So number of units that you are going to purchase into the cost per unit. That is your purchase cost, and it obviously will depend upon the number of quantity that you are purchasing. Okay. Next is your ordering cost. In ordering, as I told you, there are two different. One is setup cost and ordering cost. So ordering cost. So you can see ordering cost when the inventory is purchased from outside. So you're purchasing from outside, because the mobile owner, the mobile Reliance Digital will never produce the mobiles, right? They're produced somewhere outside. So they purchase it from outside. So the inventory is purchased from outside. The cost associated with bringing inventory within the production system is termed as ordering cost. Obviously, the cost associated with bringing inventory within the production system, right? So what happens here? So you that is what is happening now. You order some items in Amazon, so you want to bring that item to your home. That is the reason why you're paying some money to the delivery guy. That is what's happening. The same way, the production system also is paying some money so that you get some inventory into your production system. That is what is happening. So what it includes? It includes cost of tender, because obviously you have to put some tender. So cost of tender, then processing cost, paperwork, communication inspection communication, because you do some telephonic, initially nowadays it's very cheap, the communication, but initially people used to use this landlines and also they used to have huge bills. So inspection cost, you do inspection before dispatching. Transportation, of course, this is the main thing where your ordering cost will be coming into picture, right? So it includes all this cost of tender, processing cost, paperwork, communication, inspection cost, transportation, etc., etc. That is called your ordering cost. And on the other hand, you have this setup cost. So what is the setup cost? When the inventory items are produced internally. So here you are buying it from outside, but here you are producing the items internally. So the cost associated with bringing a shutdown production system again to initially fully working condition is termed as setup. Let us say you have nothing, zero. It's a simple ground. So you have built some production plant. So from zero to some production plant. So this is called your setup cost, because you're installing some machines and you're putting some energy points and so and so and so and so. You're building a complete working condition of a production system. So from zero to you're bringing to something, it's called your setup cost, because you're producing some items. You're producing some items, right? So that is called your setup cost. Here with the finished goods, so ordering cost will come with the finished goods. Setup cost will come with the internally producing goods. So what does the setup cost includes? It includes maintenance cost, schedule cost, preparation cost, cost associated with the bringing raw material. There's a mistake, bringing G. So material, raw material, arrangement of workers, tools, equipment, etc. So it's like you're building in your new workshop so that you can maintain this workshop properly. So you're spending some energy or money to bring a zero situation to a situation where you can completely manufacture some kind of product in your production system. That's called your setup cost. So if I write the, so let me rub this off. So if I write the ordering cost is OC, is number of orders into cost per order. That's what I already told. Setup cost, you can call ST cost is equal to number of setup into cost per, number of setup means like number of manufacturing plants that you have put, because you don't have any single plant, because you have different shops or different plants. So that's what is like difference between ordering cost and setup cost. Generally we use this ordering cost only in our complete entire syllabus, but rarely this setup cost will come. But don't I'm just saying it here because you feel that like, oh okay, sir didn't say about the setup cost, what is this? So just to mention, there is a word called setup cost, so that's the reason why I have mentioned it here. So I again say you that this is the important one, that is your ordering cost is equal to number of orders that you're placing into the cost per each order that you're placing. Let's say if you are placing some 10 different orders, so 10 orders into what is the order cost for each order will be your ordering cost. Okay. So next is your holding cost. That is, already I've told you how much the amount of that items that you have to maintain. I mean, you have to carry or you hold. So let me read it here. So it is the cost associated with storing, keeping, and maintaining inventory within the production system. That's what I told you, right? Like when I took the example of the soap here, this mobiles here. So these 90 items you are storing or maintaining in your warehouse or in your shop, or you are maintaining a security to make sure that there is no robbery happening. So you're maintaining or keeping it in your inventory. in the production system. So there's a cost incurred to it. That is called your carrying cost. So what does it include? It includes shortage cost, handling cost, damage and depreciation cost, insurance cost, and interest of loan. So shortage, you know that. Handling also, handling means like if it is like let me say that like if you are maintaining and keeping. Let me say one example. There is one example. Let's say if you are maintaining some bolts or nuts, bolts and nuts, which are used in aerospace in liquid nitrogen. Let us say liquid nitrogen. So there are this bolts and nuts which are used in aerospace industries, which are highly sensitive in nature. So those should be kept in the storage, not simply, but they have to be kept in liquid nitrogen. So this is the extra thing that you have to keep. So to handle. So that is what is here called handling cost. Extra liquid nitrogen. Why this liquid nitrogen is required? Why these bolts are very sensitive in nature? Let me know. I'll tell you a story about it. But let me complete this. So that's what you are. Damage and depreciation. It should not get damaged. You have to have proper room or storage place. Depreciation. Depreciation means today you are bringing some 100 mobiles, and each is costing about 50,000. Let us say this is today, and after 6 months, what happens? You have some 20 mobiles left, and now the mobile cost is around 35,000 only. So you lost 15,000. 15,000 has been lost for these 20 mobiles. That is what is the depreciation. But initially you bought it for 50,000 each, but now you are selling it for 35,000 only because it has been waiting in the warehouse or in the storage for 6 months. That is called your depreciation cost. The item value will be depreciated as you have the time proceeding, or you are going and waiting. After 6 months, there is some new other model which has been introduced. So the old model has come down. So obviously your cost will be coming down. That's what is called depreciation cost. Insurance. Obviously you have to make some insurance. You have to pay extra because if you are paying insurance cost, if you have some damage or theft, what will happen? The insurance company will be paying. So you have to pay some extra insurance, right? That is what it will come under this holding or carrying cost. Interest of loans. Let's say you're buying this thing on a loan basis. So you have to pay interest to these loans as you're paying your money, the main money, right? The principal money, as you're paying with the principal money, you have to pay some loans extra. So that's what all these things include. Like you have the storage cost, handling cost, damage and depreciation cost, insurance cost, and interest of loans, etc., are included in holding or carrying cost. And the main important point here is, that's why I didn't write there. This is the cost that will depend upon quantity 1 and period 2, both quantity and time. This period is called time. Why? Let's say this is day 1. You have 100 mobiles in your hand, and let's say on the day 1 you've sold 10 mobiles, and next rest 90 are in the storage. And day 2 you sold some extra 10, and you have some 80 in storage. And at day 5, let us say, you have sold some 60, and sorry, this is 20, right? 10 plus 10, 20 years old, 60, and let us say you have some 40 in storage. So you can see as time is proceeding like this, your number of units stored are coming down. As the number of units are coming down, your cost also will be coming down, right? So let's say initially, if let's say you have some 100 items, you have 2 security guards here standing here to make sure that there is nothing happening bad. In the 5th day, no need of 2 security guards. You need only 1 security guard because you have only 40 things to be maintained. So there is one cut down here, So you no need to pay extra money to this extra security guard. That's the reason why it will depend upon time also. So you can say here, you can say that your carrying cost, and it's called CC, is for average inventory, for a period into carrying cost per unit per time. This is extra word that you're getting here. It's per time. What is this average? Average means on day 1 you have 90 to store, day 2 you have 80 to store, on day 5 you have 40 to store, on day 10 you might have some 10 to store. So as your time is proceeding, your quantity is being reducing like this, because it was some, let us say 90 here. This is first day, second day, third day, fourth day, so on. 90, and second day you have only 80, and third day you have only 60. On day 5 you have 60, and day 10 you have only 10. So as your time is proceeding this side, what is happening? Your quantity is coming down. So you don't know, that's the reason why you take the average of it. Average. So average inventory for a period into carrying cost per unit per time. This is extra term that you're getting here. Per unit per time. So let me, there is this here, not to mix that. Okay, fine. So this is what is your carrying cost and holding cost. The last one that we have already discussed is your shortage or stock out cost. So what is that? Shortage simply means absence of inventory. I already told you, absence of inventory, and the loss associated with not serving the customer is termed as shortage. That's what I already told you. The customer is coming to your shop or the service center and asking for a separate service, for a specific service or specific item. You are unable to serve the customer. That is the reason why you got this stock out cost. Or you can say simply, it is the penalty cost that are incurred as a result of running out of the stock. That is your shortage. So what does it include? It includes potential profit loss, because you're losing the profit. You're losing the profit that you are supposed to get, and it might have this fast transportation, because let's say if the customer has come and you don't want to lose your profit. Now what you do, you, instead of, let's say if it will take some 3 days to reach to you. Now what you do, sir, you please don't wait for 3 days, you wait for only 1 day. So what you spend that extra money on your transportation. You say that, like, instead of it coming by a what you say, a train service, you might use your flight service, so that it might come tomorrow itself, so that you can serve you to your customer. And also it includes some discounts, because as you were unable to give service on time, you were supposed to give some discounts also. Let's say if you are a pizza delivery guy, or it's a Domino's, or some kind of a Pizza Hut. So what they do, if you are unable to deliver on time, so that the pizza is free for you, free of cost. So that's what, like, it's a shortage or stock out cost. So you can write this as SC, that is your thing. This is shortage cost, that is number of units short into shortage cost per unit short per time. This is also per time only, because it will depend upon time. If you are waiting for more days, it might cost you more. If you're waiting for less days, it might cost you less. That is what is your shortage cost mean. So till now, is there any? I will wait for 2 3 minutes or 5 minutes more, 5 minutes, so that till now, if you have any doubt, any problem in any slide, please let me know in chat box, or please I I request you guys use the audio, so that I'll be happy to answer your questions in audio itself. Any doubt?
Sir,
Yeah.
yes, sir. There is one doubt in the setup cost. If there is any repeated order for the
Okay.
same component or say the same order, so
Okay.
will be like there will be setup cost for that order as
Yes.
well? Like,
Yes. Obviously. Obviously. But let us say now, if there is a mistake with the ordering, let's say if you are ordering from Amazon, if there is a mistake from Amazon side, then there is no cost for you. Let's say you made your mistake, then it will be of course you are repeating the order. Obviously, you have to pay the cost for their services, right?
yes.
Yeah. Any other doubts? Good.
Okay. And
Any other doubts?
sir,
Yeah.
yes, sir.
Yeah.
And sir, for carrying cost, there's
Okay.
you said average inventory for a period, like
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
will be till the period when the whole like in
Yeah.
inventory is
The whole items are becoming zero. You're right. Let us say it is
okay.
complete inventory, and it is becoming zero.
Okay.
So this is your period T, time T, through which your inventory is becoming from a maximum to zero. So this is your time. So this is your average. So average can be calculated with the area of triangle actually, of something like that. But I'll tell you in the later slides. Yeah,
Yeah. Okay, sir.
maximum to
Thank you,
zero.
sir.
Yeah. Any other doubts? Good, good. I'm getting some doubts. Please do ask me doubts. I don't believe that you got each and every single point from my class till now. Please do ask me some doubts. I'm here to answer. I'm happy to answer you. Okay, let me see the chat box. Okay, no doubt. Please ask in microphone so that everything is crystal clear. I see here some 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. There are some 17 people here. So this is your purchase, ordering, holding, shortage. Very important. Any other doubt, please? Clear, sir. Everyone is saying clear here. Okay. Okay. Please ask me doubt so that I can proceed with the thing having in my mind that okay, everyone got the point. Sir, if my product is lost or damaged during any process, which will it come under? You only tell me. If it is damaged, where it will come. Here it is there, you can see here, damage. It is in holding or carrying cost. It will come under holding or carrying cost. Okay. So any other doubts? Can see here Aslesh, no. Aslesha Sharma, Abhishek Goyal, Amit Kulkarni, Ashwin Kumar, Gautam, Joel Jacob, Kishan, Lakshay Sharma, Murli Krishna, Nazil, Naveen, Nibish, Siraj, Sham Shanai, Nikhil Kumar, Vikram. Fine. Good. Hope I feel that everyone have so ordering cost inventory columns are opposite in nature. Yes. You're right. You're right. Yeah, that is the point that we are making it. Yeah, obviously, if your ordering cost is increasing, your inventory cost will come down, and if you're increasing your inventory cost, your ordering cost will go up. So obviously both are inversely proportional, and both are opposite in nature. So you have to come to a deal where both are happy with each other, and you optimize your cost. That is what your economic order quantity that you can say, but let me not discuss that word right away. So let me wait for some more time so that we can proceed with the some kind of, we can proceed with the slides here so that we can go to this EOQ and later stages of the slides. Good. Any other? Okay. So hope I feel nobody is sleeping as it is 11 o'clock in the night. I feel everyone is alive, and it's not. I'm not too boring here. So please let me know, sir. It's little boring here. So pick up the pace, or oh, sir, it's very fast. You come down. So please let me know some feedback onto the chat box or you on the audio also. Okay. Let me proceed. Fine. So on the next slides we can see here is inventory classification. So we have some classifications that we are can be termed as. So there are some 4 classifications for inventory. First classification is your transit or pipeline inventory. Transit or pipeline. It means that the inventory cannot provide service while in transportation, and such inventory is called transit or pipeline inventory. Means you have already ordered the inventory. Let's say you ordered some 100 mobiles. You ordered 100 mobiles. So you ordered it already, and you paid money. Obviously, you have to pay money in hand before itself so that they will dispatch it. Before you paying the money, they won't dispatch it at all. So they have dispatched it, but it is in transit because it is moving in bus or plane or whatever it is. While it is in transport, what do you say, the transit, it is an inventory because you have to. It's your problem from there. If something is happening, or like let's say you can't use it also, right? Because you paid money, you lost your complete money, but you have to wait for 6 days in cases of your small items. Maybe you have to wait for 6-7 months also in big production plants. Although you paid money, you have to wait 6-7 months, right? So that is called your inventory, which is in transport situation, or which is not at your part. You paid your money and it's not at your hand. That's called your transit or pipeline inventory. Coming to second one, it's very important. That is called your buffer or safety stock. Safety means this word safety will be coming into this inventory only when you are facing some kind of adverse or critical conditions, right? So you can read it here. It's like it's minimum amount of inventory kept throughout the year and is used only during adverse conditions to prevent stockout, right? So let me give a beautiful example here. So the example is, let's assume that we all are going for some, let's say some tour. You're going for some tour or some trekking. Let's say some trekking, especially. Okay. Now, if you are going to some tour or trekking, let's say you are planning it for some 10 days. Okay. So you're planning it for 10 days. Now, you assume that okay, for each day I change one pair of clothes, be it shirt pant, or for girls there's some, whatever they're wearing, one pair. So now, so you are plan. So according to you, you have to take 10 pairs because for each day you are changing one pair, right? So is it that you will take 10 pairs exactly? Hello, please do answer me this kind of. I want this to be interesting. No, nobody's speaking in microphones.
No, take some buffer extra.
You don't take 10. So you're going to take more or less?
More, sir.
More.
Obviously, you're going to take more, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, obviously you're going to take more. You're going to take some, maybe 2 12, or well, let's say you're taking 12, maybe you can take 13 also, I don't know, whatever it is, you take some 2 or 3 extra pairs. So here 2 are extra. Are you going to use them? You don't know. You don't know whether you're going to use this 2. But always, wherever you go, these 2 are there in your bag and you are carrying them. You are carrying them. It's a huge weight to your luggage. Still, you're carrying that extra 2 because for safety. You don't know what's going to happen. On day 5, it might happen that there's a huge rain. You got so wet, so you got drenched in rain. So what happens? You have to change to another dress. So you take that extra and use it because it's an adverse condition, because you never expected the day to be having a huge rain. So without expecting, you had to get yourself in wet, and then you have changed another dress. So in the same way, you keep some extra stock in your inventory, right? Let's say the mobile guy, he, instead of buying 100, I think if he is buying 150, this 50 whatever is there, right, he will never use it until unless there is a huge hike in demand. So in the same way, you will never use it. You use it only in adverse conditions. So when that kind of situations, when you're using some stock, that is called your buffer or safety stock. You keep it only for the sake of safety, and you never use it, but you carry it. You always pay rent, you always pay maintenance fee, you always weigh it, you always take some special care to that stock, even though you're not using at that point of time. That's what is called buffer or safety stock. So it's called the minimum amount of inventory kept throughout the year. You're not using, but you're keeping it, and is used only during adverse conditions to prevent stock out. Okay, so it is held for protecting against fluctuation in demand rate, obviously. Now let's say I'll tell you another example. Okay, you assume that you are a owner of a mobile shop and you bought some 1,000 mobiles so that you can sell this 1,000 mobiles in coming 10 days. But what happened is a huge demand, because people say that, like, okay, the mobile is excellent, extraordinary. Okay, let me tell another example. Another example is like you have this petrol pump, and you all people have, bike and car, whatever it is. You have whatever it is, the automobiles. So now what? You one day night you are sitting in your home and you're eating your dinner. Your dear Prime Minister Sir Modi sir has come and told that by from today night your petrol prices are increasing from 90 rupees to some 200 rupees per liter. Let us assume that it's not going to happen. It might happen, I don't know, but let us assume it is happening. Now what happens? You stop your eating, you take your car or bike or whatever that automobile you have, you go to petrol bunk and stand there. It's a very big queue, but you stand there so that you take full capacity of your petrol tank or diesel tank. Right? You make full tank. But are you going to use that? You are not going to use it, but you are keeping it as a safety because you are saving your money. So that is what is called your fluctuation of demand. Till then, there were only some 5 people, 6 people who are waiting in the petrol bunk and taking the petrol. Suddenly, after this announcement, there are some 100 people standing in the queue to take some petrol or diesel from into their automobiles. Right? So it's like you are having safety stock in your mobile, in your bike, because you can use it in adverse conditions, or you can eliminate some kind of losses from you, right? So this petrol thing might not be an appropriate example, but this trekking example is an appropriate example for this buffer or safety stock. So it is never required under normal working conditions and used only during adverse conditions. Obviously, in normal conditions, if there is no rain, if there is nothing happening, if there is a pleasant climate and everything is going fine, so obviously you'll use this complete 10 pairs, and you will never use this pairs, and you come back to your home. But still, you're maintaining it in your luggage, right? So only in adverse conditions you use this buffer stock. So you can see here it is held for protecting against demand rate during lead time. There is this word called lead time. So what is this lead time? Lead time is nothing but it is a time gap between placing an order and inventory in hand. It means that, let's say today you placed your order. Today is, let's say today is your 16th, 16 July 2020, and you received your item on 26th, assume 26th of July 2020. So this is your placing an order, and this is your inventory in hand. So there's a time gap between these two. This time is called lead time. So you're expecting the delivery to be happened in 10 days. So the lead time here is 10 days. Because you placed the order and you're expecting this thing on so and so date. So that's called your lead time. So it is a time gap between placing an order and inventory in hand so that it can be used or consumed. So coming to this sentence again, it is held for protecting against fluctuation in demand rate during lead time. So what is happening in lead time? So lead time means like you're having some items of 100 and it is coming down. It is coming down to 0. So you order in between only because this is the let's say you are okay fine. I'll tell here in this here only. Okay, let's say here you have some 100 items on day 1, and as you move with time, it has become 90, it has become 60, it has become some 30, it has become some 10, and it has become zeros. So what you do, you won't order on the day where your inventory is becoming 0 because it will take some time for the items to get delivered, right? So what you do, you order here itself. You order here itself, and what happens by the day here you order here, by the day you get your item 0 in your inventory, you get your full again you get 100 here. The time you place an order, the time you get the order is your lead time. This is called your lead time. Is it clear what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Clear, right? So that is what is called your lead time. Fine. So moving on to the another classification, that is your, I think the slides have changed. This is classification, this is characteristic. I'll change the slides, don't worry. So this is your seasonal inventory. Seasonal inventory in the sense the inventory will change as per the seasons. Like what you say, based on, like, let us say if it is now it is rainy season, right? Rainy season. So the umbrellas are very well sold, or maybe raincoats, or because now if you go to shop, have these things in inventory. Umbrellas and raincoats will be in the inventory. Normally in the summers and winter seasons, you don't have these umbrellas and raincoats. Or if you go for a rainy or for a movie tickets or something like that, let's say. So in the weekends you have more demand, and in the normal days you don't have much demand. So like that. That's what is called the season inventory. So in season, whatever the things that you keep in inventory, that's called seasonal inventory. The last one is your anticipation inventory. Like this is our, what you say, like you can use, it's not safety stock. It's like for sudden change or for sudden fluctuations in your demand rate. This can be met by your anticipation inventory. Let's say here this you are going and filling the petrol, that's fine, but the petrol guy should have the petrol, right? Because suddenly what happened here, there is a government policy change from tomorrow. So now who is going to produce suddenly give that much of, because everybody is coming and asking for full tank. So the petrol guy should give that, should meet the need of the customers, right? So I think he has to keep some extra petrol with him so that he can meet the demand. There is any fluctuation in the demand rate, right? So it can happen like big sale forecast. Suddenly they say that, like, okay, there's a big sale, Amazon sale, right? Suddenly there is a price hike, suddenly there is a strike, suddenly there is a shutdown of a company. So anything can happen. So because of these reasons, so what you do, you keep some extra safety to you, and you can use it in the very what you say, highly unanticipated stages. Okay, so that is what your four different, that is your transit or pipeline, buffer or safety stock, and seasonal and anticipation. Okay, excuse me, any doubt? Guys, convey the page is, this page is loading. Okay, I think there's a problem with here with now is it okay? Please let me know if there are any doubts. Everything is clear? Clear. Okay, fine. Okay, fine. So let me go to this is classification, the characteristics of inventory. So this is your characteristics of inventory. So let me change this in the PDF where I'm uploading. Don't worry about this, I'll do that. So this is the characteristics of inventory. So if you see here, like there are two different inventories. Those are direct inventories and indirect inventories. What do you mean by direct inventory? Direct inventory means the inventories which play a direct role in manufacturing of product and become an integral part of the finished product are called inventories, like raw material, purchase of the part, finished goods, and etc. Like let's say, let's take an example of a car. Okay, let me take a car. Number of cars as your demand. Number of cars. So now, so number of cars, if you want to put in your inventory, those are the independent actually. So now, let us say you are selling 220 cars per day. Let us assume that you are selling 220 cars per day. That is a number of cars, and each car is having, let's say, 4 tires plus 1 spare. That is your Stepney. So into 5, we'll have some 100 tires per day. Right? So now these are number of cars are independent inventories, and number of tires are dependent, because you can keep 100 tires in inventory so that you can use them to manufacture 20 cars a day, and that cars are independent inventories, and these are dependent, and these all things will come under direct inventories, because those are like inventories, that is raw materials, parts produced, finished goods. These are finished goods only, these are parts produced. So everything will be coming under this independent and dependent inventories. If you go into independent inventories, indirect inventories include those items which are necessarily required for manufacturing but not becoming the component of finished product, because here everything what you're doing is coming under finished product, but like oil, grease, lubricants, petrol, office material, maintenance material, all these things are inventory only. You're buying extra lubricant, you're buying extra petrol, you're buying extra grease, you're buying extra bundle of papers, whatever, you're buying extra, you're paying extra internet money for making this process, extra material so that you can use it for maintaining this machinery and all. So all these things are there, you're buying it extra and you're keeping it in inventory, but you're not using that anywhere in your car and the end product. That's called your indirect inventory. So these are like the differences or characteristics of inventories that are direct and indirect in inventories, dependent and independent. Any doubt till now? Any doubt? Yes, sir. I'm surprised. I feel surprised actually. Everyone is having the no. Lakshay Sharma is saying no. Is there any doubt with Lakshay Sharma? No, sir. No doubt. Okay, you don't have doubt. Good. So, guys, please let me know. So, because it's been like 1.5 hours, I'm speaking alone from my side. I just want a response from your side. Yes, sir. Okay. Okay, fine. Good. Let me proceed. So, proceeding to the next thing, we have the next concept, that is your inventory review systems. So, there is this inventory review system. So, let me take the review system. So, it's having two systems, divided into two systems, that is your queue system and your P system. Quantity, period. Q is quantity, P is period. Okay. So Q system is also called as fixed order system, or it is also called as reorder level system, or it is also called as, okay, it's only this thing, sorry. And P system also is called as fixed period system, or this is called periodic review system. So can anyone say what is the difference between this fixed order system or fixed period system? Anyone by the sentences can they say fixed order system and fixed period system? Any idea? Any idea? Okay, fine. Nobody is even typing. Okay, let me proceed. Okay, so let me draw something here so that we can move on. Okay, let me tell you. So here is your diagram like this. So this is your quantity Q, and this is your time T. So let's say if you have inventory of some items 100 here, and as time proceeds, this inventory is coming down, coming down, coming down, coming down, coming down, and became 0. Right, this is your start point and this is your end point. This is your quantity Q and this is your time T. So now fixed quantity means like you order the new order. So when you are going to order, so you say that like sir, I'll order at this point. So by the time I become 0, this quantity will come again. I can fill it, right? So this is your what is called lead time. I already told you, because you order at some point, so that by the time this quantity is coming to 0, the time proceeds, and whatever you ordered, it will come and it will replenish the system, or it will fill the system, right? So here you can say that fixed quantity system means if you have a graph like this, it means that it doesn't matter on period, it matters on quantity. So you have a fixed quantity. So you can say the quantity is fixed and period is changing. So let us say it is becoming 0. Now what happens when it has become 0? You order quantity, same quantity. Let us say if it is 100 mobiles, it is same. You are ordering 100 only. Again, this has completed very fast, and again you are ordering the same quantity. So it doesn't depend upon the time for the consumption. It will only depend upon the quantity. That is your fixed order. Fixed order is every time you order only 100 items, independent of time. Like you see, okay, there are 3 weeks and demand rate is this much. Okay, these 3 weeks these are done. So next week like this, next week like this. This is your fixed order system. And let me draw a fixed period also here. That is here. It doesn't matter how many items you're ordering. So this is your quantity Q1, this is your Q2, this is your Q3. Time is same. So now for every month, let us say this time is T is every month. For every month you order some quantity, but the quantity is different. So whatever this thing is called your consumption rate, it's called D. This is your consumption rate or demand rate is called D. You are consuming at this rate. So consuming at this rate.
Sir,
Yeah.
sir, if possible, will you just repeat this portion again?
Repeat this portion. Okay, fine.
Yeah, sir, because some network issue came.
Okay, fine. Okay, fine.
Okay.
So what I mean is, so you can have two systems. One is either you maintain every time. Let's say you go to. I'll take the example of soap only. So now you go to shop. You go to grocery shop or your the supermarket for every 1 month, or sometimes it might happen that you go anytime. So you go at any time. You go after 2 weeks. You're bringing 12 soaps. After that, because of let's say this is your 3 weeks, this is 1 week, and this is 3 weeks, and this is quantity, and these are your soaps. Let us assume. So you assume that my soaps will be utilized in 3 weeks. So you went on day 1 and you bought 12 soaps, or maybe some quantity Q of soaps, let's say 12 soaps, and you use them for 3 weeks. Once these 3 weeks are done, again you went, again you bought 12 soaps, right? And you used it in 1 week. So how sir I'm using it in 1 week? It happened. Maybe some relatives have come. Maybe there's a function happening in your home, so many people have come and they have taken baths and they have utilized all your 12 soaps have been consumed in 1 week itself. After 1 week, again you went to shop, again you bought 12 soaps, fixed. That's it. You're not changing your quantity. And now this time it has been utilized for 5 weeks. It doesn't mean that you haven't taken bath, but means that you're not in home. You might have gone for as people have this week. People have come to your home. No, you went outside. You went to some function. So you're not using soaps for some. So that's the reason why you have utilized these soaps for extra 2 weeks, right? So whatever is the time, whenever you're going after 3 weeks, 1 week, or 5 weeks. It doesn't matter. You're ordering only 12 soaps. Your quantity is fixed. Your order is fixed. You go, you get 12 soaps and come back. That's it. This is one system. Another system is, let us say you have the same soaps only. Now what happens? Here it is every time 3 weeks, 3 weeks, 3 weeks. So every 3 weeks you visit shop. Now what happens on day 1? You have ordered 12 soaps. You used it. And the next time when you went, you felt that, okay, you already know, no, this week I'm going outside, or I don't know, I'm going anywhere, maybe somewhere I'm going. So let me order only 8 soaps. Again, you consumed it for 3 weeks. Again, next time you went, you're coming to your home. This time you ordered some 18 soaps. So your quantity is not fixed here, but your time is fixed. Your visit to your shop is fixed. 3 weeks, 3 weeks, 3 weeks. For once in 3 weeks you're going to shop, but your quantity is varying. And your period is fixed here. Quantity is fixed here. That's why fixed order system or fixed quantity system here, Q system, fixed period is your P system. Is there any doubt now? Hello?
Yes, sir, it's clear.
Okay, fine. Okay, let me move. So this is what I've made it here again. You can read it. In this system, inventory decreases to reorder level of fresh order for the fixed quantity to be placed at that point. In this system, size of order is fixed, but the time of order is variable. That's what the graph I'm drawing it here again. The fixed order and time is variable. Fixed order, time is variable. Quantity Q, time T1, time T2, and time 3. Right? So this is your fixed order system. And fixed period is, in the system, inventory level is reviewed after a fixed period of time, and a fresh order or variable quantity is placed at that point. So fixed period of time only you're going. In this system, size of order is variable, but the time of placing order is fixed. That's what. At each equal interval of time, you are placing your order. T, fixed period. Is it okay? Any doubts still here? Any doubts? Okay, clear. Okay, fine. Let me move on. So let's go to the another topic, that is your deterministic and probabilistic one. So slowly we are entering into our main syllabus. So till here it's like only the basic definitions and basic understanding of your inventory and inventory control and the terminologies and etc. So now as we are going into the next slide, we have to dig little deeper. That is your different inventory models. If you go to your syllabus in your GATE also, in your GATE syllabus, you can see the under inventory control, you can see these two topics, that are deterministic inventory models and probabilistic inventory models. So here, what you say, like in this, what you say here, the deterministic models means, in this model, demand rate and lead time remains fixed and constant. Therefore, no need to carry safety stock. That's what is called what. Let's say if you have here this thing like this, like this. So this is your quantity, this is your time t. This graph is quantity q. So this is the placing of order, and what is this called? This is called your lead time, LT. So you are placing your order here. By the time your quantity is becoming 0, your new order is coming and it is coming back to your original position. Okay, fine. So this lead time. So this lead time and this demand rate. Demand rate means what? This is your demand rate. And D is called your demand rate, and sometimes it's also called as consumption rate. Okay, so this demand rate D and LT are fixed. That is your deterministic model. Means what? What? This is an ideal case. This is never going to happen. Why? How can you say your consumption rate is fixed for every period of time? Let us say this is 3 weeks, 3 weeks. How can you say the demand rate is fixed? You can't say, because is it sure that in every 3 weeks you're using so and so amount of soaps? No. Once in 3 weeks you might use on 10 soaps. Once in another 3 weeks you might use only 5 soaps, and once in 3 weeks again you might use some 100 soaps also. You don't know. That is not going to happen in your real life situation. But you assume that my demand rate is fixed for every cycle, or for every period, or for every order. You can see that your demand rate is fixed, and your lead time also fixed. Means the time between your placing order and the time and the receivement of order, like that you are receiving your order, is same. How do you make sure it is same? You don't know. Once in this order, it might take 1 week to get your order in your hand. Sometimes it might happen that like there is a lockdown or there is some kind of a things happening. So they may say that I'm very sorry, sir. We are deeply regretting you to say that like your order has been delayed. So please wait for 3-4 more days. So instead of receiving the order here, you received order here. So because you are ordered here, it was supposed to come here, but it came here. So this is extra 3 days, 1 week plus 3 week, 3 days extra. So during this period of time, you don't have anything to use. So you should not take bath. It means, right? So at that time only you have to use your safety stock, right? So but here you know it. You already know the lead time that is fixed. It means no matter what, you receive your quantity on your hand by 1 week. No matter what, it is fixed. That is ideal. So when your demand rate and lead time are fixed, this is called your deterministic models. And when you can see here, this model is probabilistic model. Probabilistic means anything will depend on probability. Here deterministic means it is determined. Your D and LT are determined. Here these are probabilistic, means uncertainty, right? So these models represent the real world conditions where there is an uncertainty of demand rates and lead time. So it means that demand and lead time are not fixed. Okay. So in these models we need to carry safety stock, obviously, because what happens is, I'll take the same diagram. So what happens? So here it is this, here it is this, here it is this. Now here is some quantity, here is some time period T, let's say it is 3 weeks, 3 weeks. So yeah, let's say your lead time is this much, and it is, let us say, 1 week. So in the second cycle, instead of receiving your order in 1 week, you received after 3 days extra. Let's say this is 1 week plus 3 days. So in this period of time, what happens is you don't have stock in hand, you're empty hands. So that is the reason why you keep your extra safety stock, so that you can use in this emergency situations. So in deterministic models, as demand and lead time are fixed, there is no need of any safety stock. In probabilistic models, as demand and lead time are not fixed, hence we have to go for safety stock. So that is what is the difference between your deterministic models and probabilistic models. In the next class we'll go for the notations, but anyways, till today it's like almost 11:30. So hope I made my things clear, and I'll wait for 5 more minutes. Please ask me any doubts that you have till now. Any doubts? Hello? People are typing. Let me see. No doubt for Lakshay Sharma. Please, anyone with any doubt? I just want, if you're not having any doubts, it's okay. Having a small doubt also. Deterministic models will exist. Obviously, PV is equal to nRT. It's an ideal gas equation. But won't you use it? You use it because there is no ideal gas as such, but you use it, right? So to make things easy, or to make things to simplify, you go for some assumptions, and with that assumptions you make the things complicated a little later. But these are the basic assumptions that you have assumed, and we have to follow the assumptions and make the models. And then after some time, what we have to do is that you have to add the complications. That's it. Yeah, it doesn't exist, but it doesn't exist in the real world, but we have to study it. Could daily supply of newspaper be an example of? No. You don't know, right? Like how it is a deterministic model? No, because let's say if a paper boy who is selling the papers in a railway station, let us assume, how does he know how many amount of papers he has to keep on that day? You don't know. Let's say he assumed that he has bought only 50 papers for that day. Now what happens? Unfortunately, there's a big news on that paper, because the newspaper boy may or may not know there's a big news in that. Right away in the early morning, he has bought the papers in 6 a.m. in the morning. By 7 o'clock, the 50 papers got sold out. So the demand rate is not fixed. Some other day till evening he has to wait so that he can sell all the papers, all 50 papers. You don't know. So you know only that okay, the demand rate is fixed, the lead time is fixed, then only. So this paper boy will not be an example for deterministic models. There are some other examples, don't worry, I'll let you know. But anyways, newspaper is not a right example for the, because you don't know the demand. Sir, in shortage cost, if seller sells all the mobiles in one day, it will be profit. No, how come it becomes loss? Okay, so okay, fine. So Naveen has it out. So he's saying that, like, sir, if you are selling all the mobiles in one day, it will be profit. Of course, it will be profit. Even though you're selling it in 5 days also, it will be profit. But now the Naveen has it out like this. So let's say, okay, you're saying that like you bought 100 mobiles, you're selling them in one day. In day 2, you have 0. And third day 0, fourth day 0, 5 day 0, 0, 0, 0. In all profit you got in one day. So now the customers have come on 4, 5, 6 days, 3, second, 4th, 5th day. So you are unable to give this person anything. Instead of 100, if you have bought 200, then you might have provided on second and third day also. So of course it's the loss of profit. You're losing the profit. That's what I'm saying. You're not losing the profit for this 100 items, but you're losing the profits that you hadn't thought of. You hadn't bring this 200 rupees, 200 mobiles. No, you didn't think of the 200 mobiles. You thought only 100 mobiles are sufficient. So that's what you don't know. It's like losing the profit is your what you say this. Sorry. Losing the profit. It's not the loss for that 100 items he has bought. It's the loss that you hadn't brought, that short. You didn't thought of any shortage there. That's what.
Sir, can you go to the lead time, sir?
Lead time, okay. Yeah. Any doubt here?
Okay. No, so in the graph you showed, the lead time is the last gap, right?
Yeah.
So the lead time is from the initiation till the end.
Initial, the place of order. Let us say you are using the Amazon. So today you placed the order, and the expected delivery date is like 26th. Let us say. So the gap between this placing an order and the receivement of package is your lead time.
Yes, sir. But like the last graph you showed, regarding deterministic and probabilistic inventory models.
Okay. So okay, this graph, no, it went off. But anyways, you're saying that like here.
the maximum, yeah. In that, the last portion was the lead time.
Yeah, because see here it is maximum quantity that you have ordered. Here it is
Yeah.
zero. So you
Yeah.
are not waiting till zero. You are seeing and before only you're ordering something, right? Here you're
Yeah.
ordering. And
Yes.
by the time your time is moving on, your item is coming tracking, it has been packed, it is shipped, it is by the time your things have become zero, your order also has come to your hand so that you can use this complete order. No, it is filling your, filling your whatever the space that you want that is empty. It is 100
Yes.
soaps, let us say. Here also it is becoming still zero. So here only ordered because at the time where you have some 60 soaps at the time or where there is like these are 2 weeks, you have completed 2 weeks, you're assuming 1 week to be getting for shipped and all these things. So by the time this 1 week is passing, in that 1 week you might have used this 40 soaps which are left and it has become zero and all the 100 soaps have come back again because you ordered before only, right? So that is what is called your lead time.
Okay,
Clear?
sir.
Yeah.
It is for the initiation of the next order.
Yes, it's an initiation of next order. Yes, but you're doing ahead
Yes, sir.
and you know this time, pakka. That is what is your problem. That is what is your not an ideal case, and then that is your deterministic model. You know the time; it is fixed.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. So, referring to the newspaper example, as household owner, we know that only one copy of newspaper is required a day, so demand at lead time will fixed. See, the newspaper company who are giving, he doesn't only think about the fixed orders. He goes and sell in railway stations, bus stations, wherever he wants. He put it in the market. So he doesn't know who is going to take the extra. Okay, the demand rate is fixed only when the constant customers who are staying in home and who have already paid their premium for 1 month extra before only. That is different. This is a general newspaper, no? It's a daily life situation. Already, I told you, this demand rate and lead time are not used in this deterministic models are not used in real life conditions. Only probabilistic are used in real life conditions. You take any real life condition, it will be a probabilistic model. So is periodic review system always better and preferred over fixed order system? So it depends. It depends. We don't know uh, uh, when a periodic system can be used or when a fixed order can system. It is depending on you. Sometimes people say that like it will depend upon time. Then they go for fixed period system. Sometimes they say I'll decide only by order. So they'll go and say that like okay, I'll look at my order. Okay, there are only 30 items left, so then I'll order. So it will depend. You don't know. There is fixed order system mostly used for smaller production units. There is no such kind of a sentence, but let me look into it. As of now, there is no such kind of sentences where fixed order system mostly used for smaller production units. We don't know that because it might happen anything because the judgment will be taken right away and right away moment. We don't know. It's on their own policies. Any other doubt?